Welcome to Inside East Texas. I'm Jesus Martinez. Every week we'll bring you the local stories that matter most to you, the ones that shape our lives, our communities, and of course our future. This is a brand new show right here on CBS 19 Plus, where we'll catch you up on the week's headlines and go behind the headline with our team of reporters giving you a closer look at the issues that matter most to you. We'll also give you the scroll this week, a fast-paced segment giving you a quick look at other top stories this week. Inside East Texas starts right now. Well, we start with President Trump. He named April 2nd as Liberation Day. He imposed a new tariff on all countries that the U.S. trades with, and they're sparking reactions from all corners of the world. At the White House, President Trump said China would be hit with a 34% reciprocal tariff, while it would be 20% for the European Union. And many economists expect businesses to pass off the new tax imports to consumers. And the impacts of these new tariffs could be felt right here in the Piney Woods. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza spoke with an economic professor and a local business ahead of those tariffs to learn more about what this means for East Texans.
After weeks of promises, President Trump announced his Liberation Day tariffs, starting with imposing taxes on foreign goods entering the U.S.
This is a really big political gamble for Trump.
Experts warn the 10% baseline tariffs and reciprocal tariffs could cause a rift in the economy.
We'll see how this pans out. If this leads to a real big bout of inflation, that politically could really undermine him in the way that inflation undermined Biden.
LeTourneau University professor Dr. John Barrett says it's consumers who will ultimately foot the bill.
So prices are going to go up. The question is how much, how fast, and again, to what extent can American manufacturers replace those goods that are coming in from overseas.
During Liberation Day, the Trump administration confirmed a 25% tariff on all imported vehicles and auto parts, set to take effect April 3rd.
Probably the biggest effect it's going to have is how much of that cost can be absorbed into the business and how much they're going to have to pass it along.
Inside Brown's Automotive in Tyler, owner Aaron Brown says 6 out of the 10 U.S. auto parts are imported. He warns a new tariff could drive up repair costs, hitting those who need it most.
To the middle class and the households making less than $100,000 a year. The impact is going to be more or less from new vehicles and possibly from repair side and service side as well.
While that tariff takes effect Thursday, businesses like Brown's Automotive aren't sure when the impact will hit. Both Brown and Dr. Barrett say it's a wait-and-see situation.
It's just whether or not when we're going to be affected, when and if this tariff does go into place and how it is going to affect us and how long it's going to take for it all to trickle down.
Trump is trying to change the structure of the economy, hoping to bring more manufacturing jobs to the United States, and that's just going to be an adjustment for everybody.
All right. For CBS 19, I'm Robert De La Garza.
And joining me now is Robert. Robert, you are, or have become one of our tariff experts at this point. We've done quite a couple of stories over tariffs and how this is impacting local East Texas businesses right now. So I think you spoke to a brewery in a story you did on Friday yesterday, and now an automotive business. How are these businesses, I guess, bracing for impact for these tariffs?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's just a wait and see. I mean, some of them are like the brewery. I can tell you that they are, what they say is some of them are maybe the bigger breweries, the bigger names in the business are stockpiling whenever it comes to possibly cans. That's one of the big things. 25% tariff on aluminum and steel that can affect cans as well as kegs. But the cans is the big deal when it comes to manufacturing and distributing the beer itself. Mm-hmm. But so that 25% increase, some people, so the big buyers, the big markets are over here stockpiling supplies. That could be cans, that could be barley, wheat, hops. Hops come from, one of the big markets is in Australia. So a lot of them, but what it's impacting is these smaller markets like the True Vines, these local breweries here in town, and they are the ones who are kind of they don't have the room for it. They don't have the expenses. They still have to pay bills at the end of the day. So this could also impact the price gouging. Whenever they have short supply, it's going to increase prices. So that's one thing that definitely that they're seeing that they're trying to prepare for, I guess. So there is opportunity there to try and stockpile for them as well, but it's not going to be at the same consistency as these big markets.
Right. No one likes a price hike on beers. Nice cold beers, nice every now and then. Talking more the automotive side, obviously a lot of people are worried about that, either buying a new car or going to get their car repaired. What are these automotive businesses doing ahead of that? Are they stockpiling ahead of time? Is that something they're doing as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, just trying to prepare. But the small businesses, small mom and dad shops, they can't really compete with that when it comes to new vehicles. Of course, we know the 25% increase on that new automobiles, as well as the parts as well. And talking to some of these local shop owners, say that 6 out of 10 of their parts are coming from other countries like Mexico, Canada, as well as China, of course. So whenever it comes to maybe purchasing a new vehicle, that's going to impact immediately, but it's also, I mean, if you buy a used vehicle, you're going to have to do maintenance on that vehicle ultimately. But it's even the small things, oil changes, because you got to pay for filters, and even American-made vehicles, they are going to use foreign parts in them for anything. So, I mean, ultimately, it's still going to impact whether you have a new vehicle or a used vehicle, and they're just basically in wait and see mode. I mean, there's no telling when it's actually ultimately going to impact them. Talking to the business owner at the local automotive shop, he kind of compared it to COVID. I mean, they didn't see the inflation rise until maybe it could be 6 months down the line, it could be years down the line. That's when COVID, when first 2020 COVID hit, it took years for them to see an impact in inflation, or buyers to see it whenever it goes to checking out or going to the seeing the sticker shock value there. But yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned used cars. Are you seeing maybe, or have you heard of these automotive shops saying, hey, a lot of our clients are leaning more towards used cars versus these new cars that are coming out?
Yeah, I didn't really ask him about the used cars, but just back to that point, I mean, whenever the 25% increase is on the automobiles, these are new vehicles as well as parts. So he did, he mentioned that they will see an increase no matter what on these parts. So in reality, it's just a wait and see. As you mentioned, just kind of comparing it to the beer or to the vehicles. Like, I feel like you could boycott beer if you're strong enough, but like when it comes to vehicles, you can't really boycott parts, or we need vehicles. It's an essential. Yes, exactly. So I don't know if that's going to push the used car market. I mean, the car market is already bad enough as is. So I could imagine it's going to. But these are vehicles that are imported from foreign countries. So maybe if you buy the American vehicles, it's not going to be as much of a tax increase or tariff on there. But they do have foreign parts in them. So either way, no matter which way you look, you're going to be affected when you go to a car lot or a automobile shop.
Now, on a consumer level, you and me, we don't own businesses. As normal consumers, people watching us at home, how are these tariffs going to affect us either at the grocery store? We talked about, the car parts and everything, but you spoke to an economic professor as well on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, the consumers are the ones who are going to be the most impacted by these new tariffs. One of the only ones who are going to be benefiting from this are the manufacturers. I talked to some of the business owners who's saying that the middle class, as well as economists, who are saying that the middle class, as well as those making less than $100,000 a year, will be the ones who are impacted most. But ultimately, like we mentioned before, it's just a wait and see. You're not going to see those increases the next day. It's not going to be overnight. Egg prices didn't rise overnight, as well as inflation didn't hit us overnight. So it's just one of those things. It could be months down the road. It could be years down the road. But ultimately, I mean, when you tax a good that's coming in, you're going to raise the price, and the concern is going to lead to inflation, of course, and raising the prices. So when these tariffs on these goods are coming across the border, then that's going to raise the price, and eventually they're going to go up, but we just don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah, that was from Dr. Baer from LeTourneau University.
That's great.
With consumers, what's one key takeaway that they should take away from all these tariffs happening right now?
Yeah, I think the one key takeaway is kind of what I've been hearing from Dr. John Barrett as well, is just to take it a day at a time, and that's what the owners are doing as well. I mean, it's just a wait and see to how long it's going to take for these prices to actually raise. There's going to be some changes to the economy, so be prepared for that, but at the same time, that's the goal. I mean, Trump's whole plan is to increase manufacturing in the U.S. and bring more jobs here here into the U.S. So overall, that's just going to be an adjustment for everyone.
Sounds good. All right, Robert, thank you so much. Welcome to The Scroll, your weekly news feed, but on your TV screen. It's just like scrolling through social media, but with your other top stories of the week. It's quick, engaging, and easy to digest. Starting with this. They were supposed to protect and educate, but instead, they've been accused of causing harm. This week, 3 former Tyler ISD high school employees remain in jail because police say they injured a student with disabilities. The investigation started March 13th when a teacher was told by another student that an educator had taped together the hands of a student with disabilities. Christina Haas was the educator at the time, and she allegedly forced the student to walk circles around the classroom for more than 4 hours. Arrest documents say Haas directed June Tryon, a teacher's aide at the classroom, to tape the student's hands together. Haas also cursed at the student and made other comments. Haas, Tryon, and another teacher's aide, Priscila Gutierrez, are now charged with injury to a disabled person. Tyler ISD also says they are cooperating with law enforcement, and all 3 are no longer employed by the school district, and they each remain in the Smith County Jail. Well, this week we learned more about what led up to a shooting in Hawkins in late March. CBS 19 obtained the arrest affidavit of the person accused in the murder of a Hawkins man. According to the documents, Sean Moore was holding his son while he shot and killed Mitchell Palmer last Friday. Palmer died at the scene, and during police interviews, Moore said he thought Palmer was coming at him with a small knife. That's when Moore started shooting. However, police never found a knife at the scene. At this time, Moore remains in the Wood County Jail on a $1 million bond. And a bond reduction has been denied for the murder suspect in Smith County. A judge rejected the reduction of the bail for Scotty Lee Goebel, who is charged with murder in the death of a Tyler business owner. Goebel is accused in the shooting death of Eddie Ramirez at Junior's Taqueria last year. His $3 million bond stays after multiple violations, including lying about his address. Goebel has been in custody since October. And over in Rusk, the city's police chief is on administrative leave. According to the city manager, Bob Goldsberry, Scott Hegney was placed on leave after a complaint was made against him. That's all the details that are being released at this time. In the meantime, Sergeant Jeremy Farmer will handle day-to-day operations until the investigation has concluded. The city has hired an outside firm to conduct the investigation. And in case you missed it, Texas College President Dr. Dwight Fennell said he is stepping down. During the Board of Trustees annual meeting, he said he plans to retire next year. Dr. Fennell has been president since August of 2008, and during his tenure, he oversaw significant institutional growth, academic expansion, and campus improvements. In a statement, Dr. Fennell said the opportunity to serve as president has included pleasure, humility, joy, and comfort, but also challenges, concerns, and sometimes feeling of trepidations, adding that with the help of direction of God, Texas College has made significant gains over the last 17 years. And that's this week's top headlines through the scroll. Well, Charles Aldrich lived a life committed to serving others. He was a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a Winona volunteer firefighter. He died last week from cancer after working as a firefighter for over 3 decades. And believe it or not, he fought cancer all while working as a first responder. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza spoke with his family and fellow firefighters to learn more about his life and now his legacy.
Charles Aldrich's wife of nearly 20 years, Jana, says his life was dedicated to service. From nearly 5 years in the Navy to over 3 decades as a volunteer firefighter, Aldrich spent his life helping others.
That's just the way he is. I mean, he's very selfless, just to give back to the community.
Charles lost his battle with cancer on Thursday. Doctors gave him just 2 months to live after being diagnosed with squamous cell cancer. But in true fashion, he fought on for 26 months.
That's just the fight in him, you know, that he's gonna fight it to the end, and he did.
A longtime friend and fellow firefighter for over 30 years, Daniel Height, says that even in his final days, Charles remained dedicated to the department, doing everything he could to stay involved despite his battle with cancer.
He served as long as he could with the department until he physically wasn't able to anymore.
Height says Charles was known for always lending a helping hand and staying calm under pressure, even in the toughest situations.
A good close friend, someone you could depend on if you needed things. He was there. He had your back on whatever scene we were on.
After more than 3 decades with the volunteer fire department and a lifetime of service to East Texas, they say the void left by Charles's passing will never be filled and will forever be felt in the community.
He's gonna leave a big gap in a lot of people's lives.
This week, Hyde says the flagpole at Winona VFD is flying at half staff, with the thin red line American flag honoring fallen firefighters, and a way to remember Charles as a fighter who gave his all to the community.
His legacy is going to be remembered for decades to come, and his famous line is "all is fine." That helps keeps me even more motivated to continue in the fire service in his honor and in the honor of the other firefighters we've lost.
Services will be held Saturday to honor Charles's life and legacy. Fire departments, including Winona's, will pay tribute, something his family says is humbling, as he had done the same for others.
So for them to give it back to him, he would be very honored.
Reporting in Winona, Robert De La Garza, CBS 19.
Well, the West Rusk community will head to the polls in under a month to decide on a bond that could bring a new elementary school to the district. Now, the current building, which has served students for nearly a century, is in need of major repairs. CBS 19's Ayana Aird has more on the proposed multi-million-dollar plan and what this means for the future of local education.
So they've done a real good job in maintaining it and keeping it, but it's time for the kids to get a new building.
Tanya Cooper, who has grandchildren at West Rusk Elementary, believes it's time for a new school building after 90 years.
The need hasn't gone away.
A $23.4 million bond would fund a new elementary school for pre-K through second grade with a gym and music room in Phase 2.
Pay property taxes once a year. And if it's to give our kids keep them here in the West Rusk School District and give them a better building, then we should do it.
Opponents of past bonds have raised concerns over tax increases.
You know, with the state legislature right now, they have already passed the $100,000 homestead exemptions, but they're looking, I know, at a higher number, possibly $140,000. And so there, if that were to pass, then that would make this bond even a lower tax burden on more people.
This is the third time in less than a year that West Rusk County Consolidated ISD proposed this bond. Superintendent Lawrence Coleman says the school board hopes that the third time will be the charm.
We still have the greatest need there because the building is 90 years old. We have done a lot through the years with paint and lighting and those kinds of things, but what we can't do and haven't done is the roof and plumbing and electrical.
The safety of staff and students is also a priority.
There's a safe room inside this building that would be able to house everyone in the building, keep them safe if you had strong winds, if you had an intruder.
Come out and look at the building. It's been there for 90 years, you know, so it's time for a new building.
In West Rusk, I'm Ayana Aird, CBS 19.
Bulls, saddles, and lassos. It doesn't get much more Texas than that. And the East Texas State Fair has been around for a little over 100 years now, and organizers have found new ways to educate and entertain the community. CBS 19's Will Riddell has more on the special announcement this week that has East Texans all saddled up for the fall.
No, it's not deep-fried butter, but something wild is coming to the East Texas State Fair.
You ask about, you know, what's this rodeo going to do for the community? It's going to be awesome.
For President and CEO of the East Texas State Fair, Cody Rosenbaum, adding a PRCA-sanctioned rodeo to the September festivities was a perfect fit.
We really feel strongly that that's our place in the community, is to connect the urban population with agriculture.
Now, the rodeo will take place over the first weekend of the East Texas State Fair. That's September 19th through the 21st, and it was really important for them to bring in something family-friendly. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff with this rodeo, everything from bull riding to barrel racing to team roping. Cavender's will be serving as the title sponsor. Jennifer Green is the company's public relations and events manager, and this isn't her first rodeo. She has been to events like this all over the country as part of her work. It's an experience you won't want to miss.
Well, if you've never been, and especially if you have children, it's such a fun, exciting, action-packed event to attend.
Yeah, the East Texas State Fair is very unique. Every fair kind of has its own soul. Here, this fair is very supported. So fairs now are a culmination of our agricultural roots and entertainment for the community.
In Tyler, Will Riddell, CBS 19.
All right, here to go behind the headline on this new excitement coming to the East Texas State Fair is Will Riddell. Will, you were at that press conference as it was happening. Now, you're not a native Texan, so what does a rodeo mean to you, first off?
Well, walking into Cavender's was kind of a shock.
Yeah.
I'd never seen so many cowboy boots and cowboy hats in one place. But yeah, this rodeo is a big deal. Everybody at the Cavender's team and at the East Texas State Fair is really pumped up, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. And so you walked into Cavender's. Did you get yourself anything, first of all?
Well, I didn't have time. The press conference was starting. I didn't have time to window shop at the end as I was on my way out.
We'll have to go back.
Yeah.
So, Will, you mentioned this is super exciting for East Texas. Why is this rodeo unique? I mean, obviously it's the first one, but super unique for East Texas and Tyler.
Yeah, well, what's really cool is that this is a sanctioned Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association event, so the PRCA. They hold their national finals every year in Vegas. At least they have been the past few years. I don't know how long they've been holding it in Vegas, but it's going to be in Vegas again this year. And the time to qualify will kind of be running short by the time we get to that September rodeo. So for, some contestants will have already qualified. They may not be coming here to compete, but for some of the people, or for some of the contestants, athletes competing at the East Texas State Fair PRCA rodeo, this is going to be really their last chance to punch their ticket to Vegas. So, the stakes are going to be high for some of these athletes out there. So it should be good competition.
It's a do or die event for them for sure. And so rodeo itself, we know the fair happens in the fall. When will this rodeo be happening?
Yeah, so it's going to take place over the first weekend of the East Texas State Fair, so it'll be September 19th through the 21st, and they are planning on making this, this is going to be a permanent event, so it's not going to be going away, so you can look forward to it for years to come.
Especially for opening weekend, I know a lot of people are going to be super, super excited for that, especially not having to travel, especially those who live in Tyler, not having to travel, to Gladewater or any other rodeos in town. Obviously, this is super exciting for the community. How was everyone feeling at that press announcement?
Well, I don't think anybody was more excited maybe than Tyler Mayor Don Warren. He was in the house.
Yeah.
He didn't have his cowboy hat on. Everybody was wearing cowboy hats. Don wasn't wearing one.
What was your cowboy hat, Don?
I wasn't wearing one either. So I can't give him too much of a hard time. But it was funny. He came up and made a statement kind of towards the end of the press conference, and he said he used to actually compete in rodeo events back in high school. So he said the chaps are in the trash now. But I'm hoping he digs those out and gets on a horse come September. But everybody was super excited, from the Cavender's team to the East Texas State Fair. Cody Rosenbaum, the president and CEO of the East Texas State Fair, he's put a lot of work into this. And they're just looking really forward. They're looking forward to what this is going to bring to the community.
Sounds good. I think we're all super excited for it. Anything else worth mentioning or adding that viewers should know about?
No, I think we covered the dates. First weekend of the East Texas State Fair, September 19th through the 21st. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds good. Well, thanks so much.
Hey there, East Texas. Well, last week we were dealing with a threat of severe weather in multiple consecutive days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we were under a weather impact alert. And what that we were dealing with those days was what's known as an atmospheric cap. That's what caused some of us to see severe storms and what caused the storms to hold off until the afternoon. Now I'm showing you something that we look at as meteorologists. This is called an atmospheric sounding. Essentially what this is the data that a weather balloon collects as it goes through the layers of the atmosphere. What you're seeing in red, that's the temperatures from the surface to the upper atmosphere. And then this green squiggly line over there, that's the humidity as you go up. And what I'm watching is this little part right here at the bottom. That is the cap. You can see how it comes up and juts very quickly out to the right. That is a layer of warm air. And that layer of warm air keeps these thunderstorms from forming in some cases. So as we have that warm layer of air, that limits thunderstorm activity. It can only rise up to that warm layer of air, and it can't get any higher. For a strong storm, you need it to be very tall and pretty wide in most cases. But what happens if you break that cap? Well, think of it like the lid on a pot. If you're boiling a pot of water, you have the lid on it, that's going to help it heat up faster. But when you take the lid off, a lot of times you have that little explosion of steam. And if you get your face too close, sometimes you can feel the steam and it burns a little bit. Well, the same thing happens if we break that atmospheric cap. That allows the thunderstorms to bubble up even higher. It acts almost as a pressure cooker. And then we get a bit of an explosion of some strong to severe storms. Now, we have been seeing the cap with us every single day this week. And that's a very common thing for us here in East Texas. But what happens when we get the cap to break, that's when we can get that risk for some strong, severe thunderstorms moving through the rest of the day and into parts of the evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember to keep checking back with the CBS 19 weather experts for the latest on the forecast. Next week, things are beginning to calm down. Back to you.
Well, this year we're celebrating 30 years of National Public Health Week. The American Public Health Association says Americans live 35 years longer today than when the association was founded 150 years ago. This year's theme is It Starts Here, Your Health, Our Mission. Local health leaders say your health begins at home and in your community, where we can create and participate in events that promote physical, mental, and emotional health. For 3 decades, National Public Health Week has worked to advance health equity, improve community well-being, and champion the policies that protect and promote public health. UT Tyler is hosting a week of events to highlight making public health a priority right here in East Texas. We spoke to UT Tyler Dean Teresa Bird and Kim Bush with Spring Into Good Health about how we can all get involved and make a difference.
Spring Into Good Health is a community event, basically a health fair, and we have different health education materials, resources. We offer some pre-screenings, appointments to get pre-screened for mammograms. We have a big inflatable colon that you can walk through. This whole event had sprung from a colorectal cancer project. And so the goal is prevention, giving resources, information that sometimes people don't necessarily have to be able to learn what they can do, what resources are available, what things are free for them, how they can, make changes in their lifestyle that can help them actually, hopefully, not get to stages of severity and, complications with diabetes, heart disease, and any type of cancer.
Well, that event will be next Saturday, April 12th at the UT Health at the corner of Beckham and 5th Streets. It's happening from 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, and it'll be the culmination of a week of events to educate East Texans on the role of public health, which Bert says is really about prevention and keeping people healthy.
All of us have an impact on the health of our communities and our own health. And so starting with our own health, there are things that we can do, especially here in East Texas. We have a pretty high smoking rate. We have a lot of obesity. We have a lot of diabetes. And there are things that individuals can do to make themselves healthier. But there are also ways that communities and even society can work to help make conditions where people can be healthy. And so one of the things we do in public health is policy and, healthy policies like clean air and clean water and restaurant inspections and things like that. So, we kind of run the gamut of things, but really it does start here with me and you. And then we can spread it out and make sure that people in our communities are healthy.
Well, the week of events to educate and make health a priority starts today, April 5th, with a pre-party health fair at True Vine from 3 to 7 p.m. That's followed by a kickoff at Tyler Rose Garden on Monday at 10 a.m. There's also a special speaker coming Friday to the UC Maybury Theater. Dr. Eduardo Sanchez, who serves as Chief Medical Officer for Prevention of the American Heart Association, will address the state of cardiovascular and brain health in Texas. We've got a full list of events over on our website, cbs19.tv. Well, a new pair of shoes can make a world of a difference for a child, and for a decade, Groveton High School students have made it their mission to provide just that. Through a program called Kicks for Kids, these students raise money to buy shoes for local elementary students, turning an ordinary shopping trip into a moment of joy. CBS 19 sports anchor Serenity Douglas shows us how this tradition has shaped into more than just giving shoes.
This is year 10 that Groveton High School students have taken part in Kicks for Kids, a program that's all about giving back. Each year, these students raise money to buy brand new shoes for local elementary students, turning a simple shopping trip into something special.
Every kid needs a new pair of shoes. It doesn't matter, who they are or what their family is. It's a good way to feel good about yourself. But for me, I want the high school kids to know that you really can impact others without having to be a certain person. You don't have to be a certain race or believe a certain thing. It's the human condition. We all need to be able to take care of each other. And if we do that, I mean, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it does make a big difference.
Over the course of 3 days, 80 high schoolers partner with 80 elementary students, helping them pick out a new pair of shoes. But the experience doesn't stop there. After shopping, the kids get lunch, play on a bounce house, and enjoy a full day of fun, thanks to FCCLA.
They try to raise about $6,000 to sponsor 80 students who are elementary students in our district, just to basically have a great day, just to escape from the academia and athletics and all those kinds of things, and to hopefully be a positive influence, but for also to give the high school kids a different perspective.
And the generosity just keeps growing. Over the years, the high schoolers have started to bring their own money, not just for shoes, but to buy small toys and gifts, making the day even more special for the kids.
Last year I had a kid too that told me that he never had any Easter presents or Christmas presents, and it kind of broke my heart. And so I think it's more of a gift giving so they're not be feeling left out.
I think it means a lot to them. I mean, some of them don't get shoes to some of them actually don't get shoes. Getting shoes here with us, I mean, I think it means a lot.
My shoes and they are so cool, so I love them so much.
While the elementary students walk away with new shoes and unforgettable moments, the high schoolers leave with something just as valuable.
Gain perspective on, even if they don't have a lot of money, sometimes there's always someone else that you may be in a better position than.
Just to make sure you pay attention to the kid, make them feel loved, and because not most of them feel this way. So I think it helps a lot.
Maybe not everybody is in the same situation as you, but that doesn't mean that they're any less of people. Like these kids, they might not be in the best situations, but they're still people, and we're still able to make them have a good time. So I think that's the main lesson that you can take from it.
Reporting in Lufkin, I'm Serenity Douglas, CBS 19.
Well, April is National Pickleball Month, and in East Texas, players will soon have a chance to get their game inside. Construction at the Tyler Indoor Pickleball location on Roans Quarter Road is moving at a hectic pace. Chief photojournalist Alan Casper stopped by to see how they are paddling down the final details.
I'm building a 12-court indoor pickleball facility. Here the weather's either hot or cold, or there's pollen, or it's windy, or it's raining. You have a few days where it's just perfect to play outside, and the other time it's not so perfect, but you still play. So people saying, hey, we need an indoor facility, and I'm like, no, I mean, I'd love to do one, but I don't have anybody to run it. And then one day I was talking to Lilani, and it was just a perfect fit. And she's got passion. She really knows pickleball and sports and putting programs together.
When I came here 5 years ago, there really wasn't anything. And so when I started playing, it was basically just a group of 20 of us. The growth of the sport is incredible. I think we're just looking for a place that we can consistently play, which we've never had before. And I think people will be willing to come here from hours away in order to do that.
The facility itself, the features that we have, the lighting, the barriers. Pickleball facilities are notorious for being loud. Well, we're going to put carpet on the walls like you do in theaters for acoustics, and then we have open cell insulation above it, so sound should be the best of any pickleball facility. We're going to have party rooms, we'll have shuffleboard and table tennis, we're going to have simulators and practice areas. We designed it, built it, and staffed it for the best pickleball experience. It's a very social sport, so you meet a lot of people.
That's the greatest thing about pickleball is I've played a lot of sports, and this sport by far brings so many different types of people together. It's quite incredible. That's what makes the sport incredible.
Well, Khalifa says they are planning for a grand opening later this month and have people actually start playing inside the facility by the beginning of May. Well, that will do it for us here for Inside East Texas. Thank you so much for watching. Stay right here on CBS 19 for Texas News Now with headlines from across the state of Texas. Then CBS 19 News at 10 coming up later today. Have a great rest of your weekend.